Welcome to the Agile Wire. Brought to you by Wisconsin Agility. And we're recording. All right, kick us off, Jeff.
All right, so we're doing, again, one of these behind the music episodes. So the music video we want to talk about today is All the Scrum Things. It's a parody of All the Small Things by Blink-182. Chad, what was your inspiration when you first kind of came up with this song and these lyrics? How'd you get started?
So inspiration was, I always was somewhat of a Blink-182 fan, I guess. And sometimes the title of the parody song just comes to you, all the small things, all the Scrum things. It's just too easy once you have. I think that was the initial thought that popped into my head. Probably scanning top of the charts in the 90s for songs to come up with for Scrum parody songs. And then once I had the title, then it was just working out, I usually try to copy and paste the original lyrics into a document and then just start picking away at them to come up with what sounds catchy and tricky. So, and I guess with a lot of these, trying to come up with some form of an educational spin on it, right? Trying to teach the audience something about Scrum and Agile within the lyrics.
All the Scrum things Agile Scrum brings. Just try one sprint, create an increment.
All right, let's walk through some of the lyrics then, Chad. So the first two lines, all the Scrum things Agile Scrum brings. To me, what that it makes me think of is most things Agile, if we look at the version 1 survey, are Scrum, right? And so that's where my mind goes. Were you thinking the same thing when you wrote those lyrics?
Yeah, and actually also thinking how often do we, in the work we do with clients, with teams, have to clarify, or whether it's in a training class, that Agile doesn't equal Scrum and Scrum doesn't equal Agile. They're not synonyms. There's always confusion, I think, with that, right? Even when you hear somebody, and this is cliche, but when you hear someone say, we're doing Agile, well, it doesn't make any sense. You're doing Agile. They're usually doing something related to Scrum most of the time, right? So right. I think it was a way to clear up that confusion to say, actually, they're not the same, but if you try Scrum out, it likely will bring some agility or bring you closer to Agile, whatever that means for you, right? So overloading that word, I guess, it's trying to clear up some of that confusion.
So if I look at the next 5 lines, I could sum it up in one word, or the word I would use would be feedback. Is that what you were after? It's just try one sprint, create an increment, users you'll show, feedback it flows, inspecting and adapting, improving and delivering.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to if you're going to do anything incrementally iterative, then do it. I think too often we do the iteration part and we go through the motions, and you can call that zombie Scrum, mechanical Scrum, Scrum or fault, whatever you want to call it. It's something you're doing on an iteration. But we know, right? How many times do we say the game changer in Scrum is the increment, the incremental piece of value? So going through the iteration is only a piece. So I think I wanted to convey in those lyrics, make sure you just try it. Get into it, sprint, but create something. And then when you create something, you're forced to remove some of the impediments holding you back from creating things even more often. And you may find that the first sprint you try, you can't create something within a sprint. Okay, why not? And then reverse engineer your way into agility. Start removing the things holding you back from delivering a small piece of value within an iteration.
Yeah, you don't say the word transparency in those 5 lines, but when you're talking about creating an increment, users you'll show, that's what you're talking about, is adding transparency into the thing you're building and then inspecting and adapting, right? I guess I think back to that Ken Schwaber quote where he says something along the lines of, without transparency, there's no point in inspection and adaptation. And so you kind of describing what you mean by transparency there in those middle kind of lines inside of the verses. And I think that, there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
Too often people try to show whip, right? We see that so often in the organizations that we work with. They want to show a design document. They want to show an architectural document. They want to talk about a plan. There's no value into it. They want to show a PowerPoint deck. They want us to get credit for work in progress. What we're saying here in these verses, I think, is that we need an increment, real done working product, something somebody can use and put their hands on that they can give you feedback on. And then that feedback will flow, right? We've seen that over and over again on sprint reviews. Once you go away from the PowerPoint deck and you actually show the real product, that feedback, it flows. And then you got to decide what to do with it. But it's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're wondering why you have quiet stakeholders in a sprint review, question what is it that you're actually showing them, and it'll probably.
And why should they care?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Users, you'll show feedback. It flows, expecting, adapting, improving, delivering.
And then I think the last lyric: inspecting, adapting, improving, delivering. Right. And I tried to. A lot of times in these songs, I try to summarize as many parts of Scrum as possible, like without just stating the same things over and over again. And like, if you really think about it, like, right, the sprint is the lifeblood of it. It puts everything in motion inside the framework. So inspecting, adapting, you have got all the events in Scrum with an opportunity to inspect and adapt something. You've got the retrospective for improving. And then, you create increments, review them, and deliver them. So I tried to capture as much of possible, again, just to kind of convey like this is Scrum, right? All the Scrum things. I tried to squeeze as much of the framework into the lyrics as possible, all the while like keeping this as a YouTube short, which is a short amount of time. It's not a full 3-verse song.
Yeah, I love it. I thought it's really impactful. It's a song everybody knows, or most people know, can resonate with. Probably why, like, I don't know, what were the final numbers on LinkedIn on this one, on that post? It was super high.
It had 770,000 impressions and 404,000 views. But the most that I've ever had any song, I think, on any platform, right? That many views is the most any song has gotten. So I think the other thing we found out on the music side of this, right? We found out how many Blink-182 fans there are out there. Like I thought it was taking a little gamble. Like, oh, maybe nobody remembers Blink-182 or this song, but it was very popular and this was probably actually early 2000s, maybe late 90s, maybe 1998. I'm guessing. I don't know.
And then I like how you put that sticker on your guitar that said Sprint 182 instead of Blink 182.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. So for those listeners out there, share it, listen to it. Till next time, thanks for joining us on the Agile Wire.
Yeah. Get agile, stay agile, and keep on rocking.
Your team is slow, you're scrumming, you'll grow. Learn the framework, be an Agile Scrum Pro. Your team is slow, you're scrumming, you'll grow. Learn the framework, be an Agile Scrum Pro.
If you found value in today's episode, share this with a friend. Until next time, get agile and stay agile.